Ego is keeping us from innovating, curing, or creating by quieting our imagination, distracting us from meaningless endeavors. We adopted shame as a way to police our souls into conforming to what is socially acceptable. What power do we give our ego when we allow it to shame us into conformity? You're listening to jesse.blog. Recently, I have been more in tune and listening to the impact of ego on our imagination. Our early childhood was ego-less. We felt no shame running naked through our backyards, waving our arms and singing songs. As children, we also experienced no limitations in our imagination. We were in tune with nature and the universe. We stared up at the clouds and crafted beautiful words and outrageous characters from tufts of vapor floating across the sky. What changed? We adopted shame as a way to police our souls into conforming to what is socially acceptable. Ralph Dobelli writes in The Art of Thinking Clearly that herd instinct, or more commonly known as social proof, can carry us quickly and comfortably down the river of conformity. It accounts for why you may encounter a group of people staring at the sky, not looking for those childlike cloud characters, but simply because everyone else is doing it. It exists in fashion, management, techniques, hobbies, religion, and diets. It can paralyze whole cultures, Ralph Dobelli writes. Following others was a critical evolutionary construct designed to keep us safe. If your fellow cavemen seemingly out of nowhere bolt and scatter, you don't stick around to ask questions. You hightail it out of there. Applying this self-preservation technique to life in the jungle is common sense. However, we aren't living life with a jaguar lurking in the trees above us anymore. The same instinct that was once used to help us evade predators now compels us to avoid social embarrassment at all costs. Take a moment and consider this question. As an adult, what would it take for you to tap into that shameless freedom we had as children and run naked through the streets, waving your arms and singing songs of joy for even a few minutes? The answer is directly tied to the size and strength of our ego. In order to overcome that ensuing mortification, we'd have to make an offering to our ego. Today, this would probably be in the form of cash. How much money would I have to pay for you to do X? A common anecdote that prompts an exploration of the freeness of our spirit. Consider what would appease our ego to make it socially acceptable to act a fool. Western culture exposes us daily to the affluenza virus, the most dangerous type of virus, one that can steal your soul. The virus idealizes 5 things: possessions, achievements, looks, physical appearance, money, status. Jim Murphy from Inner Excellence writes, the 5 components of the affluenza virus are the same categories of offerings we'd make to our ego to quiet it enough to enjoy the freedom of running naked through the streets. What does that say about ourselves? What power do we give our ego when we allow it to shame us into conformity? What do we sacrifice? I'm not sure I'd ever be able to find comfort in, nor am I advocating for a trail of clothes littering the streets behind a wave of nudity. I do, however, find value in the examination on the impact ego has on our ability to tap into our creativity and our imagination, especially if our ego is keeping us from innovating, curing, or creating by quieting our imagination, distracting us from meaningless endeavors. I'm looking at you, social media. I may never fully overpower my conditioning to feel shame in being weird, vulnerable, and different, but maybe I can stifle it long enough to live in the peripherals of true creativity. It's been over a decade since I wrote on creative leadership for Smashing Magazine. On reflection, my attempts to tap into my imagination and harness creativity may have just been tactics in quieting my ego, maybe drawing inspiration from an early morning connection to my subconscious, or sparks of innovation emerging from the comfort of a hot shower were actually moments when my ego was still asleep. I do know that the pursuit of true creativity is worthy of what little time I have left on this planet, and committing myself to it will have symptomatic benefits in my work, my writing, and the connections I have with my loved ones. I'll leave you with a truncated quote from David Foster Wallace that, for a fleeting moment, was able to grip the throat of my ego and challenge its hold on me. I now aim to recreate that feeling regularly. In the day-to-day trenches of adult life, there is actually no such thing as atheism. There is no such thing as not worshiping. Everybody worships. Pretty much anything else you worship will eat you alive. If you worship money and things, if they are where you tap real meaning in life, then you will never have enough, never feel you have enough. It's the truth. My name is Jesse Friedman, and thank you for listening to this week's blog. If you found it motivating, inspiring, or just plain liked it, consider subscribing to my channel or signing up for my newsletter for more posts like these. I'll see you Monday for the next one.